If you clicked on this video, you want to improve at chess, you have looked at all of the YouTube tutorials, but you saw minimal results. That's why you are here, because I don't gatekeep anything like all of the other chess teachers. In the previous video, we got this exact opening, and my opponent here took this pawn. I kicked him away, and then we went into a closed position. Now my opponent plays this. I don't know what that does. I really want to do something like this because you cannot take. Um, or do I just take? But then you will take this pawn with a check. So I probably have to defend the pawn or push the pawn. So let's push the pawn. If you take, I will take the rook, and if you don't take, you will probably have to push the pawn, and that's all fine by me. You do have a passed pawn, but it's quite weak, I would say. Um, that looks weakening. Hold up. So I can take, probably knight takes, and then check or something. I don't know. Um, hmm. I already don't know what I should do, but I have a opening understanding combined with memorizing it, so it should be fine. I really want to take, because whatever you do, you have an isolated pawn, which will always be fantastic. So I will just take to create a weakness, and then take the center. I do have to be careful, for you can move this knight anywhere and my rook is undefended, but that should be all fine. My opening was quite good, but a bit weird. If you are confused, this is my opening course. It is built for you to memorize and understand your openings, because other chess teachers will either tell you to only memorize your opening, but then you don't know why you are doing stuff, what the purpose of your opening is, and you will get into good positions and get obliterated in the middle game. Or they tell you to only understand your openings, but then you will still make mistakes and get into very uncomfortable positions. The key is really to just memorize the appropriate amount for your level and know the tactics and plans and are very, very familiar with all of the patterns. So after e4, my opponent played c5. We go for a3, the Mangarini Sicilian. And my opponent played e6. E6 defends the pawn and has some x-ray pressure on b4, but we still play b4. And after take and take, the only purpose of playing e6 is either to recapture your c5 pawn or to capture my b4 pawn if I were to sacrifice. So I only have included bishop takes b4. My opponent played something else, I think like a6 or something, but I will not include that in the course because it's just a weird move. And if you know the patterns, know your plans, and understand your openings, you will be able to fight against the crap. You should only memorize the actual good stuff, the popular stuff, and the difficult, sharp lines. So if he were to take, we play c3, he would have to retreat and d4. This looks a lot as if he developed the knight, because then after b4, take, take, knight, take, we still go for c3. He still has to go back and we still play d4. So that's not difficult to memorize because we do basically the same stuff. So after this, the most popular line I would say is d5, and after d5 we log the center. And if you have a bit of understanding of my other part of the course, which is the Vienna, you would see that this looks quite like a Vienna main line, and also some Vienna copycat patterns will come back. So after, for example, you have the sharp line f6, but we won't go into that. Let's say he just develops a piece, very natural. We will develop the bishop to d3, like in the Vienna main line. And after he develops, we have queen to g4, like in the Vienna copycat. And now you will see that what we did was log the center so that our kingside attack would be very, very strong. And now our opponent only has three options. Either he leaves the king in the center, but then we will just develop the pieces pressuring the center and break open the center with our pawn breaks, and his king will be stuck and very uncomfortable. Or you queenside castle, but then we have a pawn break, open lines to your king, and your king will be very uncomfortable. Or you develop this knight very, very awkwardly, or move the bishop somehow and develop the knight to kingside castle, but you can already see that, especially after g6 and h4, castling the king to the king side is very, very difficult and very risky because we have so much pieces pointed towards it. We have potentially this pawn break, sacrifices, and there is a locked center pointing towards the king side, which is the best fuel of a king side attack. I did include a rather long sample line, not for you to memorize. If you get into this position, you will probably be fine as hell. So the sample line is just we develop. He does the top engine move, which I can't really explain to you. So probably you will have a better position already. We keep developing. This maneuver is also very well known inside of the Vienna. And after he plays queen to c7, potentially putting some pressure, maybe setting up some tactics like knight takes. And if we take back, he can take our undefended bishop. We kingside castle to develop the bishop. You should also, in the sample lines, understand what you're doing. So after queenside castle, for example, one of the plans, we will shift our attention to the queenside with potential pawn breaks, opening up lines, opening up everything. Yes, we are sacking a pawn. I did include the sample line. If he takes, the point of him taking is that he gave up this diagonal, so we can just take it, and there is a sample line after that. Other than that, we can also just make this very, very solid and start going for some weaknesses. And after he tries to break open our king side after take and take, we can start pressuring backwards pawns, break open the center, break open towards his king, develop our last pieces, and we will have a awesome, awesome position. This is all practically top engine play from black, so you will never get into a position this difficult if you just know the lines and the patterns and the plans. You will be incredibly solid. So let's go for the Mangrini Sicilian, but the most popular line with knight to c6. We still gambit the pawn. Usually they take and we go for the same pattern. The most popular line is d5, and after take and take, we go for this ID with our knight jumping in. And a lot of these knight to c6 lines that happen, so it looks quite random and difficult to memorize, but you do that in a lot of lines. It's the same like the rule. If you can attack this knight with a pawn, either a b pawn or a d pawn, you probably should. Like this line, the most popular line is e5. After knight to b5, threatening this fork, there is a cool line with bishop to d6 and bishop to c4, just gambiting the bishop. And he has this check, and he has a free pawn. There are a lot of variations there, which are very sharp. If the course comes out and you buy it, you should really know those lines by heart. But if the queen goes back, remember our rule. If you can attack the knight, you probably should. There are a lot of sharp lines after knight to e7, also a lot of checkmates. But let's say he just goes for the most popular line, knight to b8. We still push the pawn, defend it twice, attack twice, but we are threatening knight to c7 check and a fork. The only way to stop it is with knight to a6, which most people find after a long, long think. And that's also a very big advantage of knowing your openings. You can play really, really fast. If you know your openings by memorization, you can just play them so fast. Your opponents will probably either try to match your speed and blunder, or not try to match your speed, and you will be up on time so much and use that in your at least equal endgame. So I will greatly advise you to memorize a whole lot of your openings so that you are at least up on time a lot or in a better position, at least in an equal position, and have a great advantage. So after knight to a6, we can just gambit, give this check, king goes up, and here there is a sample line where queen check, the king has to take, knight check, and every single move except for king to e7 leads to checkmate. King to e7 leads to a variation which you have to memorize as well, that you go up at least a queen, and most lines don't take the rook, by the way. This king is so weak that the rook is actually not important at all. Especially if you sacked your rook, you will exchange all of your pressure just to be equal. That doesn't make any sense. So if that was helpful, I earned your subscription, I hope, and subscribe if you are not convinced. Let's go back to the video. If I check you block, that doesn't really make sense, I believe. Maybe after take, queen take, I don't know. Maybe just do this so that the bishop is defending the rook. And I should fight for the center, right? Now let's just put a pawn in the center. If I put a pawn in the center, I do open up my king, but that should be okay. If I do this, I probably get hit with this. Mm, and I don't have a nice way of defending my bishop, so that probably doesn't actually make sense. What if I just, I don't know, I can put a pawn in the center. So according to every opening principle ever, I should just put a pawn in the center and shut up. So let's do that. And then I might just develop the knight, develop the bishop so that my rook is defended. This knight is practically pinned, but it's really not exploitable. So he's attacking my center. So let's just defend my center. You defend like that. Fair enough. I really want to do this. You should put your pieces as forwards as possible where it cannot get attacked. But I do have to think about e5. E5 I have take, after take I have take, and then take. So that should be fine. And if I do this and you attack me like this, I have absolutely nothing. So maybe just put the bishop here so that it cannot get attacked with anything. Then just develop the knight, develop the bishop. If he's gonna castle here, I really want to put the bishop like this so I can attack the knight with the opening of my bishop. That should be nice. And he didn't take the sacrifice, which is fine by me. The one thing I did gain from it, maybe this is now strong, so I cannot push my e-pawn. I didn't think about that. The one thing that I have going for me is that I do have this weakness now. So yeah, this might be an issue. If I take, you take. Mm, I don't know. If I let you take, I have this weakness, so that should not make sense. Do I just lock the center? A locked center should benefit me if I want to attack your king, but I don't know. It doesn't look that good, actually. So what if I just let you take, I take back, so I still have this, and yes, I create a weakness, but you have one more as well. So I think I'll just ignore this and develop another piece. If you take, I can take with the bishop or the knight. Probably the knight is more sensible because if you can choose to bring a bishop closer or a knight closer, probably you should get your knight closer because your knight is a very close ranged piece. And I don't know, maybe play for this pawn break so that things open up. Mm, I had a feeling that you couldn't do that, but I don't know why. Take is nothing. If I kick, you take, I can take with the queen. If you take, I can still take with the bishop. Yeah, I don't know. I really think I want you to take. And if you go back, okay. I should think about takes actually, so that I open up like this. My king will be left in the center, so let's not do that. Let's not do that. So now I have an active queen. After take, I have bishop takes. And probably something like e5 should be crushing in the future. Okay, so he is threatening to take my rook. What if I just castle? Yeah, basically just want to castle. So the point is, right, if you take, I will just take back, and after take and take, my structure is still completely fine. After take and take, my structure will also be fine. If take and take, I will have a very active rook, and you still have this weakness. Yeah, you can keep attacking some random things, but so I really want to take. If take, I have take. So I took a pawn, you took a piece. I took a piece, you took a pawn, and you have another weakness. So that should benefit me. After take, 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 you take back. I can just move my bishop anywhere I want to defend, and that should be fine. If I do this, you will probably take, so I cannot do that. If I save my knight after take and take, I have tripled pawns, which is bad. I can move my knight in here, though. And after you move the queen, I have what? I don't know. I do not know. Um, take, so that if take, I have take. And what's the difference here, here, take? Um, oh, the difference is that you don't attack the. Did I miss that? If I take and you take and I take, you can take and I lose a rook. I missed that. So I really have to do this. That's fair. I cannot allow you to take because you have an attack on the rook. That's something very practical. You should always think about what is the difference between the two moves. So now he will probably just move here, and it does not look like there is a difference, but there is a huge difference. By the way, if you move your queen here and I do something like this attacking, my rook will be overloaded. That's another practical thing I want to teach you. So now I really want to consider takes. If you take back, I will be able to do what? Um, I don't know. So this is attacked. So I have to keep in mind that this rook has a duty. So I cannot move this rook to perform a other duty. So a very easy mistake is to play rook to b1, defending this, forgetting that your rook already has a duty. So if you move a piece, you should always think about what was that piece doing already. I might be able to just defend like this though. Maybe that's nice. I do give you the open file and infiltration to a2. But I am also attacking something of you. And now this rook can be moved because it doesn't have the duty to defend the a1 rook. So in the previous video, right, I played a game, I drew it, I was winning, but I had to find a very, very weird sacrifice to win it. Difficult game, and GG to my opponent. He's just making another one move threat. So if I take, you can take, I can take, and then you have an isolated pawn. So after take and take, um, I don't know, but sure. Um, take, if you take, I can also take, and after take, I have an isolated pawn, and after take and take, absolutely nothing has changed. But I guess I can just go back. You can attack it. I can defend everything and maybe have a threat. So I think this is the time to take. Wait, it's not the time to take. After take, you have this threat. Okay, yeah, I just probably blundered. So after this and take, my knight is hanging again. So can I do this? So that if takes, I have take. If you give up the exchange, I'm totally fine. So do I have to do this? Because that's such a passive move. Wait, do you have a threat other than that? I can just do this and after take, infiltrate. You will have to move the bishop and I'll be able to win the pawn. Wait, do you have a threat? Oh, you have a threat of winning my knight. I forgot. Yeah, so if I do this, you just take my knight. Shoot. If I attack the rook, you also just take my knight. So I have to move the knight. That was the point. And because of the closed center, I really cannot achieve that. After this, you cannot take because of take. And after take, I have take. So after this and take, I have to take. I did damage my structure, but at least I didn't lose a piece. So this, you cannot take. So this, and if you move the queen, you don't have a threat anymore. If this and you take, I have take defending this. Um, but you also have takes, and I'm pinned. But I do have takes. So do I have to do this? And then after take and take, I damaged my structure, but I did create an open file and I didn't lose a pawn. I think I'm forced to do this, which is quite annoying, to be fair. But I mean, sure. And yeah, I messed up. I shouldn't have taken. That's an inaccuracy, but I mean, sure. It's difficult to like talk and constantly play perfect moves. Maybe I did something wrong in the opening, but I will have done an opening analysis, so you will know. And we will see what my opponent does. My opponent is playing very confidently. And by the way, I have a feeling that I have the same opponent as in the previous game, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. He did play the same opening, he had the same country and around the same elo. So I think I'm playing the same man twice in a row. I didn't know that was possible at this low of a elo, but I mean sure. So he took to damage my structure, which is very, very valid. But now this is not hanging anymore, and I did create my own target. And I got a lot of more activity. Something like this instantly blunders, by the way, which is very nice. And I can now try to move into somewhere with attacks. That's not a bad move, but after take and take, to be fair, I do just win back my damage structure, but why can I still not move this knight? So what if I do this, and after take and take, you don't have a threat, but I don't want to give up my bishop. Um, I mean, going here doesn't make sense, right? And I cannot really kick this knight. What if I just attack? I mean, defend. I don't know. I can attack the rook though. What will happen after that? I mean, you cannot really move too much. Yeah, I don't think I want to give away my bishop. Yes, it's not the strongest of pieces, and low-key I'm getting suffocated positionally speaking, but I don't know. I will try to attack, but I think after remove like f6, I don't know if I have a future in that. And defending this pawn will be annoying. I mean, probably this whole endgame will be very, very annoying. Yeah, so he's just constantly making one move threats, and I don't know. It's working, I guess. And it's very annoying somehow. Um, so I can again move this knight anywhere with an attack on the pawn, but I don't have a useful move somehow. I can do this. So that after take and take, I don't know. I mean, your knight is not defended. I can do this with another attack on the rook. If you take, I take, and your bishop is hanging and your pawn is hanging. After you move the bishop, I take a pawn, you take a pawn. I don't know why I traded off his weakness. So knight here, if take and take, I'm very happy, and this will be probably a draw. So after knight here, you take, I take, you move the bishop. Um, After take and take, my knight is hanging again. And then I have some check. If you move, there is nothing. If- yeah, I think I have to do this because my knight is in the way of my rook. So let's do that. And if you take my bishop, I'll take your knight. You can save your bishop. I'll win a pawn. You will win a pawn. And yes, probably this endgame is favorable for you because of your slightly better structure and bishop for knight advantage. But it's the best I could have gotten out of this position. My opponent is playing very, very well. And I did make a slight few mistakes. Um, So after take and take, this is hanging, so you have to defend, and then I have this. So I don't think you can take because then two pawns are hanging. So I think you really have to take. Then I'll be able to take. Then you will have to move, and I don't know. Does this do something? Just trade off my weak pawn. If you ignore me, I take. You take. There's nothing. I don't know. I only have 5 minutes. That's annoying. So take a piece, take a piece. It's equal. You have to save the bishop. I can go for this if I want to save that pawn. But I don't know. Maybe just trade off weaknesses so that all pawns are on the same side and just go for a draw. Drawing isn't the worst thing. If your opponent is higher rated, I am slightly annoyed. I don't like to draw. So I really think he has to take, then I'll take, you will have to move. I can probably take, and after take, um I don't really know. Check after take and take, you just have a slightly better position, but I mean, it's nothing. I mean, just a slightly better structure is the thing. But you don't have a passed pawn, so it should be very, very holdable. Yeah, so I can take, you'll take. Then I might have some check or push. I don't know. Can I save this pawn? Yes, but at the expense of not winning this pawn. So probably if you trade pawns, the chances of a draw go up. So let's do that. So if I do this, you take my knight, that's not worth it. So if I just give a check, if you take, maybe I can try to fight for something. Yeah, so you don't take. After this, I don't see what I'm doing. If I do this, attacking the pawn, you can defend it in a lot of ways. But I mean, it's the best I have, probably. I do have to be careful that you don't do something weird and start pressuring this pawn. I always have rook to b2, but that's maybe quite annoying. Um, you push the pawn. Now it's not defendable. If I do this, it's not defendable by pawns anymore, which means that it is a weakness. So if I attack the bishop, you have to move it. I can. I don't know, but wait, is this not a fork? If I do this, you have to save the rook, and you cannot go here. What's your plan? And this is not a threat either. You push. I can take with a check. If you do this, I have takes. You can push here, pin. Yeah, so I did see that, but you don't have a threat yet, right? I can take with a check. You'll probably have to move. Now my knight is hanging though, so I have to go here, attacking the pawn. You can defend, but I can attack. So after this, if you take and I take, do you have a threat? If you do this, I can just take, give away my doubled pawn. After take, I can just move. So I can also take with the rook if that's stronger, but I don't think so. I would much rather. By the way, if this, you have to move, defend. Oh, wait, this is also. Oh, wait, huh? No. I think you have to go here. Then I can take, 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 and you have to cover back rank checkmate. So, oh, this, I think I'm winning. So here, after take and take, you don't have a trick, right? So here, you have to move the rook. And this is well defended. And then I can just take and take a pawn. I will be up a pawn and you have a weakness. So I think this is winning. I think. You have to move the rook while defending the bishop, I believe. So you will have to go here, and after take and take and take, you will have a lot of counterplay. Oh, this is only defended with the rook. But I can go here, attack this. And then if you take this, I'll take that and I'll be up a pawn. But that's about it, though. Oh no, you first have to cover back rank. Oh, I forgot about that. Um, yeah, but after this, take, take. Oh wait, I just have back rank checkmate. What am I talking about? Oh my god, I just have back rank checkmate. Oh yeah, okay, GG. How did I miss that? I mean, that's why you make your puzzles. So yeah, I think I'm just winning. After a take with a check, I probably have to take with the rook. And oh, he just gave up. Okay, so let's go to the analysis. So first of all, check out my new overlay. My long-term viewers, let me know in the comments if you like it or not. Probably that's 5 of you, but I don't care. Let me know in the comments. Second of all, I really want to emphasize how useful it was that I did think about I can exchange my pressure for something tangible, or I can put more pressure, and that's how I won the game. That's probably the main takeaway of the video. So let's see. So after this, I just go for this opening. He plays e6 and I go for my gambit. He takes once and then doesn't take back. And yeah, I just saw that this is very annoying to defend. If I want to defend it like this, then my bishop and my knight are quite stuck. But the plan could be to play c3, d4, get the bishop out, and rotate my knight via d2. That's a plan I could go for, but I did play the best move, which is b5. I don't know yet what I recommend in my course. He just pushes, and then I should have taken the center. I took the pawn while creating a weakness. The engine does not like that, and then I took the center. Should have taken the center instantly and leave this pressure apparently. Let's say I take the center, the knight cannot develop here, which is nice. And if you attack the pawn, I can even defend it and just grab the entire center. You still cannot take because of this. And after take and take, you still have this weakness. So I took so that this is a weakness, but that idea is not running away. And that's exactly what this video is about. I could have put more pressure before I traded off for something tangible, and I really, really didn't. I should have just put more pressure and played something because this is not running away. If you can leave pressure on the board, leave pressure on the board. I didn't do that. So take and take is an inaccuracy, and then I took the center. You develop like this. So you have a threat. I will develop a piece while stopping it. So in the opening, you fight for the center and develop pieces. So I take the center and he uses his c pawn to clamp down on the center. So I will play a3 and b4 to undermine his c pawn so that he has less pressure on the center. So here he defends his c pawn. I undermine his grip on the center after take and take. Uh, I want to have a target in the middle game. So again, I could have chosen to just give away this pawn again. I could have chosen to develop a piece, or I could have played c3. C3 still takes grip over the center, so maybe that's what I recommend. But I do give away this to create a long-term weakness, and now I can create the weakness, but it doesn't run away. So I should have taken the center, which is again the one big opening thing. You should always take the center. After this, I can just get a piece out, but I took the center. He tries to attack my center, so I defend the center, and you should just put pawns in the center and then develop all of your pieces supporting your center. He tries to castle, so I develop a piece while defending the center. He castles, so I do this, and now I did not really see e5, but it's not even that good of a move apparently because of knight to f3, again defending my whole center while developing pieces. You do this and I just kick this. After take and take, my queen is now developed and just defending the center again. After this, yeah, I just castle because if you take, that only benefits me, I believe, because you just promote a C pawn to a center pawn, and you will see after take and take, I'm completely winning because I have a very solid structure and I only have one pawn island. This is a very, very positional thing. I only have a one pawn island. You should always try and force your opponent to have as many pawn islands as possible. My opponent has three, and these two pawns are very big targets. Why I don't really have a target except maybe my D pawn slightly, but that's about it. So I really would wish he took. Apparently, you have this move, which is very annoying because you attack my knight and the pawn behind it. If I do this, you have a free pawn, and after take and take, I do develop a lot from it. So I do give away a pawn, but I get massive activity. And you still have this target, so it should be fine. So after take and take, he didn't find the best move and took and took. Now I have a awesome center, and after the best move, I should have just defended my knight. Yeah, fair enough. So I hop forward, which is not incredible, and after this, I have to defend my knight. And here I just mess up. I really, really mess up. I was scared of yeah, if I do this, you can just keep developing and keep developing. And I think I saw this and wasn't really convinced. You can also just develop again, then I have to move, and I never have threats. I really have to keep defending and defending. That's called the initiative. My opponent is constantly developing while making threats, and I constantly have to cover the threats so I cannot push my plan. I didn't want to give him the initiative, and I thought I had a fancy move here, but I really just messed up because after takes, I'm in a lot of trouble because I opened up the D file to my only weakness, and that was stupid. In this position, I should have thought more about what is my weakness. Well, obviously, my D pawn is my biggest weakness, so I shouldn't open up the file to my weakness. That is very, very bad. Should have just done this and played this position, even though I constantly have to defend against stupid threats. It's better than just opening up the file to your own weakness. That was a very positional error. But I do have this one bailout move, but now it's a draw. After take and take, it's a draw. You do find the best move. I don't want to give up my bishop, which is valid. I also thought about just something like this because after take and take, I do save my pawn structure, but again, the file to my only weakness is opened up, and that's not good at all, ever. So that was bad. I do have this one thing that bails me out, and I really thought it was a draw. After this, I do save my bishop, but you again have this one annoying threat, and here I either defend, you can again just develop, and this is again very, very annoying because he just has the initiative. I constantly have to defend, and he has a lot of activity. So I do find the best move, which is this one trick. After take and take, you don't have anything, and I attack this and attack that. You obviously have to give away your weakest pawn. And after this, I just trade rooks. After take and take, you attack my bishop. I just move after attack and defend. This is a draw, apparently, because I do have an extra pawn. But if you know anything about my lessons, I always tell you the difference between a winning position and a win condition. A winning position is just being up material or having more activity, but a win condition is an actual practical way of winning the game. You only have two win conditions. It is either a checkmating attack or a passed pawn. In this position, you have neither and you cannot achieve either. So I'm up a pawn, I have a winning position, but I have absolutely zero ways to make a passed pawn. My only hope is maybe making this pawn break happen so that after take and take, I have this passed pawn, but then I have doubled isolated pawns, a isolated pawn, and an isolated passed pawn. In that position, my structure is so bad, I don't think I can win. Let's say after take and take, you even control it. So let's do this so that you cannot attack this pawn. After you attack, I can defend. Your best move is just to trade this off, so I have absolutely nothing ever. If you just make a random move and I go for this pawn break after take, take, and take, I did create a passed pawn, but my structure is now so bad that it just doesn't even matter. I will probably lose all of my pawns, and I should be very, very happy if I can even draw this. If, for example, I just make a improving move, and you make the stupid mistake of moving the rook out of this, even now after take and take, my structure is so bad. I again cannot defend this. I have to move, do this, push. And here I'm losing because I'm in the spin and you can attack it. Let's say you don't see it and I just have a passed pawn. I can even put a rook behind the passed pawn. But my structure is so bad. Your king can activate and blockade the pawn and only up absolutely nothing. Even up one pawn, sometimes two pawns, a rook endgame is a draw. But my opponent will have to have a good technique. After this, I just cannot make improving moves anymore. You will see that my best move is just to give away this pawn, and after takes and takes, we get into a very symmetrical structure. And this is just a that end game. So the only way I can create a passed pawn is by trading so many pawns that there is no hope. So that would have been quite annoying. So my opponent cannot do that. He has to take. I can take. Now I'm threatening to take the bishop with a check, so you have to move this. I can take and take. I'm still up a pawn, but it does not matter. Oh, I'm not even up a pawn. I forgot. So I have this check. You move the king, and I can now just reactivate my knight with a threat. You push the pawn, but I was quite happy to see this because now this pawn is too far advanced. When is a pawn too far advanced? When it cannot be defended with another pawn. Then it again becomes a weakness because yes, you have one pawn island, but this pawn is indefendable with a pawn because of this. Because my pawn is there. So the only way you ever defend the pawn with a pawn is by putting a pawn on f4 or f5, so you have to get rid of my pawn, but I can defend my pawn very, very well. I do have to say, after something like this, and you make the pawn break, if I take, you do can. I mean, you can try to achieve something here. After this and this pawn break, okay, I do have a fork, but let's say take and take. Now this is defended, so you can achieve something like that in the future, not now. But this is now a weakness. I have this fork which I saw, and you blunder. Your only hope was to move here so that you attack my knight and attack this. And after I go for the fork, um, yeah. So the thing is, right? I always have this fork. You cannot stop that, but you have to find a way of counterplay. So if you blunder, and you will go down activity or a piece, you should think about making win conditions. So in this position, right, if you do this, I can just take, you cannot take back because of back rank checkmate, so you will lose the bishop. So your only way of counterplay is sacking the rook so that you can take with a check. If I take, you can just take this and now it's back to a draw. And after this, you have a passed pawn. After take, attack, and defend, I constantly have to defend against this passed pawn. After you attack this, I can do this. After you make it so that this is unpinned, I can try to pin. You have to step out of the spin, by the way. If you do anything else, I just get this. You can even try to just promote, but this is mate, so it doesn't work. So this is very, very complicated, but it doesn't work. So I really want to know, why does this save the game? If I do the same thing, what is your counterplay? After this and I take, you can still take, and if I take, you have so much activity. that you attack the f pawn, you win the f pawn, and actually you only go down a bit of structural damage. After you try and trade rooks, I can attack, you can defend, and I can just bring the king. And the only thing you go down is a bit of structural damage. So in this position, you should already have seen that yes, I'm threatening to win a pawn, but I'm also just threatening to fork you, and this is bad news. You went for the offensive, but you actually should have preemptively moved your rook to defend the bishop so I could fork you. You could activate the rook, and I don't have really a threat of winning the bishop. And here my rook is quite cramped, so after you attack it, I cannot keep defending this pawn. So I do give away my doubled pawn for the one pawn that connects your island. So that is a very, very winning benefit. But if we trade rooks, I'm probably winning. I'm quite sure I'm winning if we trade rooks. How can I set this up? Like, let's say you just don't do anything for a moment, and we get to this position. I have take, 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 and this is winning. I'm up a pawn here, and the structure, let's say I don't even win this pawn with it. How do I set that up? Let's say something like this, something like this, something like this. Take, take, here, take, take. Now I'm winning again because your structure is so bad. And let's say I even give you the chance of defending the pawn. If anyone is playing this for a win, it's white because of the structural damage. It's probably very easy to mess up if I can just bring you to a 6-1. See, if you in this position just push your pawn, you don't have further advancement without creating a backwards pawn. And after something like this, I am already quite winning. After this, take, take, you have to give up the pawn. After this, I have take, take, and I can just push. You have to defend, and I can shoulder your king. And if you have a bit of endgame technique, this is very, very easy to win. I can push this, get in front of the pawn, and this is very winning. You create the red carpet for your pawn, and it's gone, it's over, it's winning. So you can just win a king and pawn endgame on only structural damage. So I had the pressure of the pawn. I here have the fork, but you move the rook wrong. I can just take this pawn, by the way, but then it's back to a draw because I'm only up some structural um structure. I'm only up structure. That's it. So I really should um think about I can exchange my pressure for just a bit of structure, or I can put more pressure. And putting more pressure is the winning sequence here. After this, you have to sack, take, move, take. I can pin, you have to defend. And after this, you are up a pawn, but I'm up the exchange. And after you preemptively stop this, defend, I can take. Now I'm up the exchange, and I am completely winning. So I could have just brain that, taken a free pawn, but I had a way to put more pressure. And even in this position, I could have taken a free pawn, but actually putting more pressure is again the way to go. After this and you move, I have to do this. And after take, I still have a bit of pressure on my position. After take and take, take and take, I'm up a pawn, but you have more activity. I can take some activity, but up a pawn in a double rook endgame is a draw. So again, I exchange all of my pressure to go up a pawn, but all of the pawns are on one side, and that is a draw if my opponent knows his endgames very, very well. So you should always exchange your pressure for something tangible, but only if it's winning. Otherwise, put more pressure. That is probably the main takeaway of the video. If you learned, subscribe. If you want to be part of this growing community, subscribe. And other than that, I will see you in the next one.